It is Friday, the 8th day of August, 2024, and my deepest apologies for missing out on Wednesday. Unfortunately, life got in the way again. It's the downside of being a part-time mediocre podcaster is that, sometimes you just don't fucking do it. And honestly, this whole thing could come to a crashing halt at any time. So buckle up. I've applied for a new job that would probably require me to put the kibosh, if you will, on this particular program. Which, isn't ideal because I do like podcasting. I really, really do. But I would really like a new job. So we'll see. I had to go to the office on Wednesday, so I didn't have the usual morning to record. But it's been a horribly long week, cramming a lot of work. We're going on vacation, leaving tomorrow, so we're going to be gone. Spoiler alert, no show next week. There you go. So, anyways, I have some things to talk about, but honestly, not a ton. I got Tom Brady, the Red Sox, everything, streaming, snack foods, three gripes. It's all here, and it's probably going to be a truncated episode, number 196 of Complaints and Observations.
Still, a voyage into the mundane and an exercise in futility. Swimming in the absurd while drowning in unearned self-importance. Entirely unworthy of your time. It is the world's worst podcast. This is Complaints and Observations with Dave LaPointe. Who the hell is Dave LaPointe?
I think he's a bum. I think he's an absolute bum.
All right, what up? How's it going? How's things? How's your week been? All right? Yeah? Uh-huh. Terrific. I'm very, very happy to hear that. But yeah. I usually I shouldn't say usually, but over the course of the last handful of episodes, I've kind of started with a bit of political talk, but admittedly, this week I've just been so fried with it and haven't bothered. Like all the shit that's going on in Texas, Indiana, Florida, like all these places where generally shitty people live for the most part, and I'm happy to say that. I don't really give a fuck. And then their governments are just equally as shitty. So let's move. Let's fucking redistrict shit. Let's fucking create 5 brand new red seats because why not, right? That's how America works. By cheating and stealing and doing everything that you can to consolidate power. That is America in a nutshell, and now it's finally come to roost. And we've got nothing but fucking whiny bullshit on the left. And I can't I don't know. Like this morning, for example, okay, I listened to Toucher and Hardy. I listened to Toucher and Rich like right from the jump when they first started. Big into Toucher and Hardy, thoroughly enjoyed. Fred made an excellent point this morning when talking about the green dildo incidents in the not green dildo, but just dildo incidents in the WNBA. I'm sure Mike is all over it. I'm sure Mike is all over the dildos. That's a funny way of saying it. I wonder if he mentioned the dildos in his voicemail. I don't know. I haven't seen it, so we'll find out. But a really great example of just how fucking clueless the left of the aisle as a whole, right? Most people in this country, most Americans are somewhat liberal, okay? Because most Americans they don't want people to be suffering. They don't want people to get hurt. Like they're generally good people, okay? The downside is that half the country doesn't vote. And so the other half that does, it's split straight down the middle for the most part. So you have a bunch of people sitting on the sideline doing nothing, not even voting, and it turns into a bigger issue. However, this thing with the dildo, right? And it was a great example that Fred made, where he was referencing an like a post game or a pre-game scrum that the head coach of the Minnesota Lynx was giving about how the dildo throwing was what was that, like suppressing women or something, like, and referencing um millions of years of women being kept down and all this other shit. And it's like, most rationally thinking people know that women historically have been held down for whatever reason. Okay, that's a given. Most people with a functioning frontal lobe would know that. Okay, but the problem is, it's just a green dildo. I keep saying green dildo. Well, it was one green dildo. It's just a dildo being thrown onto a basketball court, and this coach is acting like it's an affront to civil rights because reporters are talking about it, people are making jokes about it, and it fucking fries my ass because there's literally no reason for that. The self-righteous nonsense that comes out of the left is part of the reason why we keep losing and losing and losing. And even when we win, we lose because you can't make everybody fucking happy. And that's the fucking problem. And so when you have a cohesive unit on the right, as fucking thick and dumb as most of them are, they're cohesive and they are a unit and they do what they need to do to win. Just like sports. Same fucking thing. But the problem is, the left can't fucking get together on anything, can't agree on anything, can't literally just can't agree that not everybody's going to be happy with everything. But again, if one group is somehow aggrieved, then it's wrong for everyone. And in general, I don't entirely disagree to a point, but like, I just can't bring myself to care about so many fucking things. Everything is a thing now, and it's fucking exhausting. It's exhausting to have to care about, like, the tiniest things that really have zero impact on my life. And that, you know what the weird part about that statement is? It should go both ways. Like, honestly, the right should feel the same exact way. Like, why the fuck do they care about trans athletes as an example? It has no bearing on their lives. The I mean, 99.9% of them, it has no bearing on their life. That 0.1% might have a cousin who swam at Penn, or had a cousin who, or like a nephew's classmate played baseball or softball or some bullshit. I don't know. But that's the point I'm trying to make. We have just social media, the internet, all that stuff, all of this shit, me talking into a microphone, people like me talking into a microphone, have made every single fucking thing a thing. And it's so fucking dumb and it's tiring. If social media all of a sudden just stopped working tomorrow, imagine how fucking great that would be. And this is coming from someone who spends far too much time on Instagram. Far, far, far too much time. My life would improve tenfold. And maybe not tenfold. That's a bit exaggerated. I'm exaggerating. It would improve if none of that shit existed, because I wouldn't have to fucking listen to it. I wouldn't have to, like, look at it. None of it. But it is what it is. And some of the fucking worst people on the planet are the people that have fucking started these things, and it's just getting worse and worse and worse. See this thing with Instagram, like literally real time doxing everybody who fucking is on Instagram? Like, how is that fucking legal? Like, if you put up a post and say where you are, that's you. But unless I go into settings and turn off that location thing, it's going to tell everybody who's on where I am the last time I fucking did anything on their fucking platform. But again, like new rules, right? New rule. There is no rule for anything. If you have enough money, you can fucking get away with every. Even if you don't have money, some people are getting away with fucking shit that they shouldn't be getting away with. Again, it's tiring and not necessary. And quite frankly, there's no way that I'm not that I'm the only person who feels this way. There's just no way. I can't. It's one of these things where I meditate every morning, and one of the reasons I meditate is because I'm trying to focus uh, on making sure that my brain only really cares about what I can control, right? Because it's not going to do me any good to go around and try to perseverate on shit that I have no control over. I think it works to a point. I mean, it kind of flies in the face of all this shit that I'm doing here, but who knows? I still think it's working a little bit. It's a work in progress, right? Anywho, it's also the preseason opener for your New England Patriots, but more importantly, Tom Brady's statue reveal. Now, this is something that I've been thinking about for a while. I was going to go to the event. That was initially my plan. And then they came out with, well, there's only so much seating, like near the statue. They want you to go into your seat in the building and watch it on the big screen. Fuck that. Why would I do that when I just fucking stay home and watch it? If that's what you're going to do, come on. Give me a fucking break, right? But I've been thinking about Tom Brady as a whole, okay? And this is another one of those things where I really want to do like a deep dive. It's fucking stupid. This is gonna sound really dumb, so buckle up. I really want to do a deep dive on Tom Brady, as if I'm gonna be able to expose anything. That's not the goal. It's just more of like I just want to talk about this guy and like the multitude of lives he's lived within his one life, right? Tom Brady, athlete. Thomas Edward Patrick Brady Jr., entrepreneur. I think they're two totally different people. I really do. I think they have a similar work ethics, but that's where the comparisons I think end. But it just like it's one of these strange things, and it's just like hero worship or jock worship on both sides. Okay, like Tom is spending way too much time with fucking dull ass CEOs. Like it just sounds boring, and it doesn't sound like. But it's not like he can fucking hang out with regular people, right? He could try. I mean, I'm not telling him to fucking walk down the like Beacon Street and make friends. You know, tell him like mingle with football players again. Like, do that, but no, everything. Like the guy is just obsessed with accumulating wealth. But again, it falls into what I've been talking about again now for the last couple months, where everything is fucking money, and it just seems to be getting exasperated by the day. Fucking the cost of everything is going through the roof. Wages are staying flat as they can fucking be. And what can you can't do anything about it. Like, legitimately can't do anything about it. Jobs are going to go away for numerous different reasons, right? All these fucking tariffs are going to make prices go through the roof on a bunch of different shit, and then things that you don't think will be affected by it, oh, they're going to be affected by it. Won't give a fuck what you say, think, do. Everything is going to cost more. You want to know why? Fucking 3/4 of the shit that we have, stuff, just anything, stuff in general, is imported. And if we throws tariffs on all that shit, the importers are not paying for that, friends. Like, get that through your fucking thick skull. The exporters, I should say. The importers are paying. The importers are the United States. The businesses collecting those goods. And then the people collecting the goods have to pass it off somehow, or they're out of business. That's how fucking tariffs work. Yet here we are still fucking talking about this again and again and again and again. What can you do? What can you do? Right? They're gonna fucking redraw every goddamn district in the country so to make sure that they stay in power for in perpetuity. That's the goal. That's the goal. And eventually, the Democrats that are left, you're gonna have a bunch that just capitulate and just bow down and be like, I can't deal with it anymore. You got a handful of Texas Congress people that are literally fleeing Texas in droves. Democrats to force, to kind of the quorum. You need a number of people in the room to actually make a vote. They'll figure out a way around it. They always do. And then they're going to go and redraw the lines in Texas. Texas is purple as fuck. And it's been purple as fuck for years. But they're going to do everything in their power to squeeze out every fucking Democrat. America, right? Isn't that awesome? I think I want to see Drake May throw 2 passes tonight. See them run 2 offensive series, and then off the field they come. Let the backups play. Let the backups play in all 3 of these fucking preseason games because they're all worthless. Every single one of them. Completely worthless and useless. And there's no need to have them. But that's the NFL. Speaking of which, the NFL now owns 10% of ESPN. They will own 10% of ESPN, which means journalism, sports, football journalism, as you know it, is going to change immeasurably. Because, like, what sort of impartial opinions can ESPN give if some of their bosses are literally the NFL? But then ESPN needs a way to charge people more money, $30 a month. For their streaming service, and they've paid money for the WWE. So now all the premium live events are going to be on ESPN starting in 2026, which might mean I stop watching wrestling finally in 2026. I don't know. Like, you can only my patience and tolerance for stealing cable is so low because I'm terrible at it. Like, it won't cooperate for me. Some days it works, some days it doesn't. Yet I'm still paying for Netflix, Disney, Hulu, all that shit because I can't figure out how to fucking get any of that other crap. I got to start getting rid of some of that stuff because what the fuck? Everything's a bundle. Give it time. They're all gonna bundle together, and it's gonna be like, what the fuck did I get rid of cable for? All you did was move it. You just moved it away from Xfinity, and you took control of it. Like, fuck off. Cost you fucking, if you wanted to actually watch NFL games, every NFL game like you could once upon a time, you watch what was on. You had Red Zone and you had Sunday Ticket. And it was like, a couple $100 for the year. It's going to be like $1,200 because you're going to have ESPN, Fox, Amazon, YouTube, regular broadcast TV, all these fucking things. You need all that shit. Like, what are we doing here? Oh, I know, it's fucking flat out greed, as with everything else. But they know full well people are going to pay it. So it's like these streaming companies are like gym memberships and AOL that they hope people will just pay zero attention and just pay forever and ever and ever. There are still like, I want to say 6 digits, like the number of people that still pay a monthly fee for AOL. Let me see. How many people are still paying for AOL? There it is. Let me see. So as of a year ago, nope. As of 2021, 1.5 million people were still paying a monthly fee to AOL. 1.5 million, right? Oh, here's one from this year. Let's see what this article says. So this is what they want, right? This is their fucking business model. $7 a month, and they pay it because they can't fucking remember that they have it, or they don't look at their bank account. These are people who, don't have any, they pay no attention. Zero. And you're essentially paying for an app to hear you've got mail. That's so fucking crazy. But again, that's what Netflix wants. That's what Paramount wants. Oh, by the way, that's all still that's Paramount and the other company there. I can't remember what the other fucking company is, but they've merged. So that paid off for them. Good for you. But goddamn, like honestly, it is just fucking insane how much of this stuff is now infiltrating our lives. And literally, I just got rid of cable because it was too expensive, and it's going to end up costing me just as much. If I want everything that I want, it's going to cost me just as much. You cannot get away from it. And I swear to Christ, corporate America's single goal is to just make sure that you have no extra money. Or you want to make sure that no one's saving money because they don't want you to catch up to them. As fucking silly as that sounds, right? That Tom Brady statue better be. You all know the picture I'm going to refer to, right? Where it's long hair Tom, and he's like running. It has to be like an AFC Championship game, and I can't. Don't ask me when, but if it's not long hair Tom, I'm going to be pissed off because that would make a great statue. But it probably won't be. It'll be something terrible, is my guess. Anyway, so yeah, Patriots tonight. Very exciting. Um, Apparently they did well in the joint practice with the Commanders, the Washington Commanders. We'll see how long that lasts too, by the way, because the president wants them to go back to Redskins. So what are the odds that they fucking just bow down, say sure thing, boss, and change it back? Wouldn't surprise me. So I'd like to see the defense show up. The backup defense show up, play well. Like to see the offensive line backup O line play okay. Keep Josh Dobbs upright for a bit, and then bring in Ben Woodbridge to mop up there in the second quarter, probably. But this game means nothing, as all preseason games do. You're not going to get anything out of it. A couple guys might make plays, great, good for them. Some of them might still make the team. Who knows? But yeah, Tom Brady. Tom Brady, the football player, not Tom Brady, the owner of the Oakland Raiders. Tom Brady. What a fucking botch job that was. Nice job, Mr. Kraft. My guess is that was Jonathan putting his foot down, like, Dad, now the team is mine. I don't want you giving anything to Tom. Meh. And then Josh was like, I'm going to run for mayor of Boston. Huzzah! And get fucking trounced by a mayor who is not great at all. Fucking Mayor Bike Lane there. Just nothing but bike lanes. Thanks, Mayor Wu. The number of fucking assholes I almost hit yesterday, just driving from the office to the barbershop, which is like a 2 mile drive. But in Boston time, that takes, close to half hour. These fucking sociopaths have no goddamn regard for anybody. Fucking hate them. I also wanted to admit that I was dead wrong about the Boston Red Sox. Dead, dead, dead wrong. Which is usually the case. However, and I admit that I'm wrong because they're 12 games over. They're playing very, very well. They swept the Stros at home, which is great. They are an absolute wagon at home, which is nice, which is what they should be. They're 4 games behind the Blue Jays, who are basically the same as them. Smoke and mirrors. Here's my problem with the Red Sox, okay? Aside from the fact that they did absolute nothing at the trade deadline to improve their pitching, um, what they're getting from a guy like Lucas Giolito, I'm sorry, but if you believe that his performance is going to continue, that's on you, man. Because I don't see that happening. Truly, honestly, don't see that happening. Like if they happen to get to an actual a playoff series as opposed to a single game, I don't want him pitching one of those games. I mean, that does not fill me with the old warm and fuzzies, Lucas Giolito. No offense, sir, but it's just how it is. Brian Bayo. Brian Bayo. But you can't get rid of Wilyer Abreu to bring Joe Ryan here. Ooh. Like Duran, I don't want to trade Duran. I got nothing against that kid, and he's good. Is he last year good? No. But he's somewhere in between what he is now and what he was last year. But he's a good player. You keep him. I mean, Abreu, I don't dislike the guy. I think he's a good player too, but what would I rather have right now? Joe Ryan or Wilyer Abreu? Give me Joe Ryan all day, every day. And I barely even know what the fucking. I don't even know the guy. He's just like Crochet, was a reliever, converted starter, and he's good. He's a good pitcher. He would have been under team control for 3 years, which is exactly what you want. Why you think you have the opportunity to bring in a number 2 starter, a legitimate number 2 starter who could, push your number 1 at some point. And you have control for 3 years. You could fucking extend them. You could buy some of those years back, buy some free agency time. You could do that. Like they just did that with fucking Roman Anthony, which in the long run is going to end up being a steal, I think, because I think that kid's going to be a fucking animal. But it goes to show you that they just don't care, right? They can play these games about, oh, we're signing guys, we're spending money. Kind of. You're kind of spending money. You're 4 games out of first place in the East. 4 games behind a Toronto team that legitimately you should beat each and every time. They got the Padres this weekend, Astros again, the beginning of next week, and then they have 2 winnable series. They play Florida, and then 2 games against the Orioles before a 4-gamer against the Yankees, which is a big one because that'll offer up some separation. With their September, Pittsburgh, Cleveland, Arizona, Oakland. I mean, they should fucking roll. I mean, honestly, they should be the number one wild card team. They should be. That should not be the goal, of course. The goal should be to win the division. Yeah. Anywho, I'm a rambling mess. Um, and I'm not taking breaks either. I'm just fucking plowing through this shit. So if you count on those breaks for any reason, what are you doing? Nobody listens to this crap anyway. Um, like I said, I have some voicemails, so I think I'll get in. Oh, we'll just jump right into the voicemails, right? I have one from Mike, and lo and behold, our friend Lori in Maine has chimed back in. I'm excited. So let's start with Mike, see what he has to say, huh? Yeah?
Dave, your old pal Mike again, just back from another week in Vegas. So got caught up on your show. Yeah, I mean, looking at I don't know, I always think, we got to find some hobbies for Dave. And I think traveling is your hobby. I mean, it's something you get excited about, something you love doing, and something you think about all the time. Playing out, you do love traveling. I feel comfortable giving you that as a hobby, as passion. Um, Being in Vegas, I would say that I have some complaints. I mean, they say Vegas is going downhill. Most people aren't going. Numbers are way down, and it's just so expensive. We get one round of drinks just at a hotel, at Resorts World, $85 for 3 people, 4 people. Walking through the casino, my wife's always giving me crap. She's like, well, why don't you at least put $5 in Wheel of Fortune? Like, I don't think you realize there aren't slot machines anymore. These are video screens. They're exactly the same ones at every casino. Super boring. And they don't even make the ding, ding, dings. You don't hear the coins hitting the bottom after you win. They're all just these quiet, boring places. And, it's almost like I don't see them as slot machines. I see them as silent ATM machines, one-way ATM machines. You're putting money in. So I'd say that's the big complaint. WNBA, they're having a problem. 3 times it's happened. Someone is throwing dildos on the court, green dildos, including our own Sophie Cunningham on the Fever got hit with one, and not cool. So that's a bad thing. I was downtown in Fremont Street in Vegas and watching a band play. Nobody down there really, except this one guy in the front, this obnoxious kind of, the guy that you want to stay away from, who's dancing a little too hardcore. Older guy, African American guy. He had a Sophie Cunningham jersey on, which is awesome. Probably a 60-year-old guy just dancing his butt off, having a great time, trying to get the crowd pumped up. So maybe that'll be me someday. I don't know, but good to be back.
Well, shout out Mike for cramming a lot into that voicemail. Whew, man. I'd like to say travel is a hobby, but I don't do it enough. Honestly, in my opinion, right? So this vacation that we're going on next week, it's not travel. It's vacation, two different things. Travel and vacation, two different things, right? I think I'm going to try to get to Vietnam next year. Thinking sometime in April. Try to get that started. That's travel, right? I have some friends now that they were in Qatar, and then from Qatar they're going to Tanzania, and then from Tanzania I think they're going to South Africa after that. I don't know, but that's travel, and I don't do that nearly as much as I would like to. So But Vegas, I'm going to be in Vegas the beginning of September. I'm looking forward to it because I like Vegas. But again, everything I've heard is not good, and that it's just grossly overpriced. So I'm trying to think of, I've been there a dozen times, and my plan for this trip is to do as much off the strip as I can. Like I want to, and also I don't want anything to do with downtown Fremont Street. That does not appeal to me at all. I'm going to try to get, to some of these. There's a handful of spots that I want to hit outside the strip. Um, just to try something different. I don't really gamble anymore. My wife does, so there's going to be a lot of time of her gambling while I'm doing other shit. So we'll see how that plays out. What else did he say? But yeah, I mean, the thing with Vegas, I mean, again, everything I'm reading is that their numbers are down, things aren't going great, and that nobody's going. So I'm so curious to see what that's going to be like. So curious. Thankfully, Mike did mention the WNBA dildos. And in the meantime, I looked into it. Apparently the dildos have something to do with cryptocurrency, and there's probably going to be a dildo coin at some point. Great. Hey, that's exciting, right? Few things more boring than cryptocurrency, especially this fake shit. There's only one that is as real as it can be, I guess. Bitcoin. Everything else is garbage. Everything else is just made up shit that's created for the creator to make money. That's it. So that's great, huh? And then then he sees a black guy on Fremont Street wearing a Sophie Cunningham jersey, which he thought was awesome. That's just terrific. Listen, Sophie Cunningham is fucking hot. So black guys, white guys, purple guys, whomever are gonna fucking like Sophie Cunningham. No knock on that fella whatsoever. Someday, Mike, you'll be the old guy in the WNBA jersey, pumping up a crowd of one. A crowd of one. That's pretty good.
Hey, it's Lori. So I missed last week because summer is just absolutely bonkers. Um, so two things. The main piece. So people have always been like varying degrees of protective slash possessive over this like identity about being from Maine, but I would say that it may or may not have ramped up in the last few years since COVID. You are correct. There have been a lot of people moving in, and while maybe on paper that isn't necessarily a bad thing, and I don't necessarily consider it a bad thing, there are some pretty significant impacts that have happened, like kind of like to the locals, and it's a whole discussion with a lot of different layers and nuance and things. But suffice it to say that there are people who are all for the growth, but then there are people who are very concerned about the real impact that it has on, you know, um, people who have lived in the state for a really long time. So there's that. And then one of your gripes was about golf. And I just have to say that golf is probably my favorite sport to watch, which maybe makes me sound like a total nerd. That's fine. Um, it's likely because my grandparents were super into golf when I was growing up and even sent me to golf camp when I would stay with them for the summers. Um, and one of my favorite memories was when my grandmother's siblings, she was one of seven. All seven siblings played golf, and they would have a sibling golf tournament in the summers when I was young. So this would have probably been like late 80s into like the mid 90s possibly. and there was like a plaque and everything. So like the winner would get their name engraved on this plaque and get to keep the plaque for the year. But this was when I realized that golf can be a very like emotional sport. And my grandmother and her siblings, like the stories when they came back from the golf course were pretty ridiculous. Usually someone had thrown their clubs in the water. There was usually at least a couple combinations of people who were not speaking to one another when they got back from the golf course. Also likely fueled by beer. But anyway, golf is great. I love golf. I'm trying to do it more often, but have a great week. Bye.
Welcome back, Lori. Shout out, Lori, for in a matter of 1 minute or so, endearing herself to the host and at least one or two listeners of this program by saying that she likes golf. So that's pretty awesome. But two things. We'll talk about golf in a second. But she talked about Maine. Okay, so part of my job in the travel game is to I sell trips. I work for a tour operator, sell trips to New England, right? And I had a conversation with a guy who, this was probably last week, week before, who lives in the Jacksonville area, but he's a finance guy, works for a big financial firm. And so the conversation was, hey, my wife and I want to go to Maine because we want to check it out. We want to move there. I'm like, oh, like permanently? Oh God, no. And it's shit like that that makes me wonder. Okay, so are these the kind of people that are now moving to Maine? And I don't know specifically. The people that I know that live in Maine have definitely said, sort of like what Lori said, where it is having an impact on the people that have been there for a very long time. My whole thing is, right. I mean, growth should be looked at as a good thing, but when growth gets out of hand or is uncontrolled, that's when I think you have the problems. Okay, I mean, look at some of the migrant communities in Maine are huge and thriving, right? And so, to me, that's a good thing. But when you have like semi-retired corporate types moving to Maine and kind of changing what Maine is, okay? That's a problem in my eyes. And it's probably, I would assume it's a problem for the residents of Maine, some. Because for people who live in Maine, real estate's probably expensive as it is. And these people are coming in and just going to make it even more expensive. But again, it goes back to what I've been yelling about all day, which is just, flat out greed on numerous different levels. There's nothing wrong with making money. It's when it becomes a problem that it's a problem. When your only sole focus is that's when it's a problem. So it makes me wonder, like, what are what if anything are long-term residents of Maine doing to dissuade people from moving there? What can they do? Probably not much, right? Especially if you have people that are, they don't. Let's say that there's a family. Well, not say family. Let's say there's an older couple. They own property. Their kids have since moved long ago. They moved out of Maine, and they've started their own families in different parts of the country. They have kids, and so Nana and Papa don't see the grandkids very often. So what do? They sell their house to one of these corporate types, and they leave. It's the mass exodus of youth in Maine that probably, when it's backfilled by some of these corporate people, because the youth and their parents are selling off property to be nearer grandkids or to be in warmer climates or they just die. I don't know. But there's no reason for these kids to stay. And it goes back to what I said about tariffs before, right? There's no industry in this country. There's nothing. Like kids can't be expected in Maine to go work in a paper mill anymore, or they can't be expected to go work on a potato farm and make enough money to, I don't know, live. Those are lousy examples, but they're examples nonetheless, right? So what do? They leave. And people say, "Oh, Maine's boring." It's not boring to everyone. Okay, some people like that shit. I'm one of them. Be in a place where you don't have to worry about leaving your fucking or locking your doors or dealing with fucking crazy people. Well, I shouldn't say that. You have to deal with that shit everywhere. But whatever. You may or may not get my point. I don't really care. My point is I like Maine. And I don't like what could become of it. The over gentrification of Maine as a whole. Because uh coastal Maine as of right now is absurdly expensive, but nobody wants to go inland, you know? Moosehead Lake region, way up there, the most desolate part of America, allegedly, is you know, the backwoods of Maine before you get to the Canadian border. It's just there's nothing. Don't try to make a phone call on your cell phone. Now, the other thing she said was golf. And the fucking kick ass thing here is she was talking about her grandmother's siblings having a sibling golf tournament every summer. That is badass. I mean, that's cool as hell. And they all get shit faced and throw clubs in the fucking pond. That is pretty awesome. I love that. It makes me wonder, like, so people who watch golf are typically people who play a lot of golf. I will watch golf occasionally. I will watch all four majors. I don't want to say religiously, but I'll have it on in the office, or if I'm at the office, I have it on my phone. The four majors, because they're a big deal, But the secondary, some of the secondary tournaments, I'll watch those. The tertiary tournaments where the big names don't typically play, I don't really care. Um, so yeah, that's pretty awesome. Watching golf, playing golf. It's funny. The last couple of times I've been out, I think I've improved slightly because I've been messing with my grip and like where I put my hands on the club. I am kind of like choking up a little bit, so I'm thinking maybe my clubs might be a tick too long. And I seem to be hitting the ball a little bit better, especially the irons. I still can't drive the ball to save my fucking life, but because on my drives, I am a statue. Like it's almost as if my legs are in concrete. They do not fucking move. It is entirely upper body because I'm very afraid of like, trying to swing and moving my hips and my knees, and I'm afraid of just driving the club straight into the fucking ground. So I got to get over that. But that requires practice, right? And numerous swings, and I just don't have the time. Anyways, excellent call. Nicely done, Lori. Thank you. Appreciate you. Tell your friends. All right. It is now time for everyone's favorite part of the program. It's the end. What's going on here? There's commotion in the backyard. Anyways, all right. So show's over. Well, not quite. 3 things to talk about. These will be quick. And I have 3 gripes. Gripe number 1: when your old teachers die. That's a bit heavy, yeah. But hear me out. It's a gripe because it's a piece of your childhood, as weird as that sounds, right? Because most of us, we can remember the names of our second grade teacher, right? And so when they pass away, it's like, oh man, that is realistically a substantial chunk of your life. A representative chunk of your life is now gone. And it was such a weird thing because one of our administrators from when I was a kid in elementary school, the principal, um, he passed away last week. He was 91 years old. And he was the principal at the elementary school for God knows how long time. Mike might actually remember Mr. Bruno from Merrill School. I don't know if Mike went to Merrill School or not, but Mr. Bruno, nice guy. He once chastised me for sniffing pixie sticks at lunch, and I got a detention in fourth grade. Yeah, wasn't a smart kid, which kind of tells you a lot about not being a smart adult. Anyway, so yeah, it's kind of you think about it. It's like okay, that is a substantial portion of your youth is now like again the representative part of your life is gone when a teacher passes away. And you might not have that same reaction. I thought about this one and I was like, wow, that was like 3 or 4 years where I saw or interacted with this guy on a regular basis. And when you leave the school, you think, okay, this is a natural progression of life, but you don't think of the other side when that guy who was old when you were a kid is going to keep getting older and then eventually die when you're old. Right? Weird as that sounds, it was just an odd kind of it was an odd feeling. And I didn't care for it. And then yesterday, I saw a clip of Bill Burr on a podcast, and he said that he got advice from I can't remember who gave him the advice, but the advice was basically for the first 40 years of your life, you're collecting people, and then the second 40, you're losing all of them. Like that is profound, but accurate, right? Again, I like to think that I've come to the realization that life is a journey and I've wasted a ton of time and I continue to waste a ton of time. But the time is limited and it's a matter of how you use that limited time that you have. I'm choosing to sit behind a microphone and complaining about shit that I have no control over while having a part of it saying I'm trying to do better about not caring about shit I can't control. Oh, it's pathetic, ain't it? Gripe number two, AI. Like, fuck AI. I don't like any of it, and it's more and more and more every day. And I read something the other day about the amount of energy and electricity it takes to run all of this shit is astounding. And the article basically points out, like, unless we make some kind of drastic change to our grid, like it's just gonna burn out because we're using so much fucking power on a daily basis to run crap like this. You're going to have stories about, oh, don't run your air conditioner. Meanwhile, there's a data center down the road that's using the equivalent of like 50,000 air conditioners over the course of a day. Like the power, probably more than 50,000. Not to mention, it's just to me in its current stage, it's just like Super Google. Like that's basically all it is. It just takes all of the information that's on the internet and provides you with whatever answer to your question that you're asking. Like that, it's not that exciting. And I'm sure there's more to it, but I'm choosing to be ignorant because I don't fucking I don't want it. Like, and I don't understand people who are like clamoring for this crap. They just want everything to be fucking easy. And we are slowly, well, not even slowly, we're moving so fast to being those two fat guys in Wall-E. I don't even know if they were guys. You couldn't even tell. The two fat people sitting in their things watching TV and eating garbage. Like, that's what we're fucking going to. That's 20 years down the road. Number 3, gold ballrooms. I'm sure you know. I'm sure you know by now. They're going to, level the Rose Garden at the White House to put up a gold ballroom, a $200 million gold ballroom. Aren't you glad you voted for that, huh? Isn't that great? A gold ballroom. For what? So that you can have other rich people show up and be like, wow, look at this gold ballroom. 200 million bucks. So glad that my tax money is going to that and not to cancer research for kids. But half of you don't fucking care. Half of you have zero fucking empathy for anything. Half of you only care about yourselves. So be it, I guess. I guess we're getting a gold ballroom. I hope you're excited. You're never going to see it, but you're paying for it and you voted for it. So thank you. That's it for the show. I've got nothing. Thanks for listening. I am on all the major platforms: Amazon, YouTube, Spotify, Apple, iHeart. There's probably some others in there that I can't remember. The voicemail line is 617-804-1557. Call in. Give that number to your friends. Give that number to your enemies. Give that number to your mother. Have them all call in and leave a voicemail. Play them if I feel like it. Tell your friends about the show. Have them listen. Have them go to Instagram and go to Complaints Pod and follow because I have like 12 followers on Instagram. I have Facebook, but fuck Facebook. God, I fucking hate Facebook. I have Twitter at Complaints Pod. You can go there. I'm on YouTube, but I don't use it. Threads, all that stuff. Come on by. Let's chit chat, huh? Shall we? Anyways, look, enjoy your weekends. Enjoy next week. I hope to be back the week after next to talk about what the Red Sox are doing, how the Patriots look, a bunch of other useless shit. Talk about, how broke I am because everything's so much more expensive. How broke you are because everything else is so much it's more expensive. But how I can't talk. Maybe by then I'll know if I've got another job or not. We'll see. But regardless, we're going to number 200. We're going to go to 200 and then kind of reassess, I think. I think that's going to be the plan here. Going to get to number 200 and then we'll reassess. But anyways, have a nice weekend. Thank you so much. Take care of yourself. Take care of each other. Godspeed. Ta-ta.